Surf removes our Rhyperior from the field of play, and it's all down to Scizor to clean up. Scizor gets that bullet punch farm down, back out comes Kieran. Kieran might have a monstrous stat product, but Scizor gonna make quick work of it. The first Night Slash gets the opponent low, and the second is gonna be all she wrote. GG's, and thanks for playing. Welcome back to the channel. Season 23 sees two quick moves getting a huge buff. Fury Cutter becomes a Psywave clone, which will make it the best one-turn quick move in the game. Bullet Punch becomes a Sucker Punch clone. Well, for those of you that are old like me and been playing this game far too long, a former counter clone becoming the best two-turn quick move in the game. There is one Pokemon that has access to both of them, and that is Shadow Scizor. Of course, Season 23 isn't here yet, so these battles are played in Season 22. Believe it or not, I'm going to tell you this Pokemon is already an anti-meta threat in both the Ultra and Master League. Can you imagine what this thing's going to be like next season? These battles today have been submitted to the channel by my favourite battler in the world, the one and only Xboston. He's actually used this team in all three leagues. If you scroll back on my recent videos, you can see this crazy team pull off some of the most ridiculous wins ever in the Open Great League. This video is already going to go on for far too long, as we've got 3 sets in the Ultra League, 3 sets in the Master League. So with all that being said, without any further ado, let's get into the battles. And in game 1, starting us off with some battles in the Open Ultra League, we lead Scizor into Giratina. Despite Bullet Punch currently being a pretty mid move, this is quite a nice spot for Scizor to be in. The Bullet Punch is hit for neutral and the Night Slash hits for super effective, and a lot of super effective damage at that, as Scizor has a monstrous attack. We actually get the boost, we save switch into Gyarados. The opponent sends out Tentacruel, and Tentacruel instantly going to be greeted with the Crunch. Crunch, unfortunately, next season is getting a little nerf. It will do the same damage, but unfortunately, we don't quite know yet, but I imagine probably a 10% defense shop chance instead of 30% that it is currently. Boston sends back out Scizor. Scald would probably knock us out as this thing's insanely glassy. Scald actually rocks us low. We send out Rhyperior, look for the Mud Slap farm down, but unable to get it before the opponent reaches Scald number 2. Boston invests that Protect Shield, and out comes Mandibuzz. Boston not messing around, falls in the Rock Wrecker. Does the opponent respect the damage? Who maxes out Mandibuzz and then shields it as well? Honestly. As far as I knew, Mandibuzz's role in the Ultra League was usually being the 3rd, 4th and 5th shield. It's got really good bulk, but doesn't really output any real damage. Boston farms the Rock Wrecker baits with the Breaking Swipe, forcing the opponent all shields down. Rhyperior might be glassy, but Dark Pulse simply does not cut it. The opponent doesn't make that catch. A Rock Wrecker will be landing on its intended target. Unfortunately, not enough to knock out. We send out Scizor. Scizor able to Bullet Punch farm down, leaving with the Night Slash. We've already seen the first one did around half the health. The second going to remove Giratina from the field of play, and Boston will be emerging victorious. GG's, and thanks for playing. Heading into the next battle, we see Machamp in the lead position. Scizor's sub-bug typing means we only take neutral from fighting, and we're kind of obliged to stay in here as Rhyperior isn't going to fancy tanking any charge moves off that Shadow Machamp. Boston goes straight for the Trailblaze, forcing the first Protect Shield of the game. Despite Trailblaze vamping up our attack, Boston instantly no shields, and we get Stone Edged through 2 Protect Shields. We send out Gyarados. The opponent tries to catch an Aqua Tail onto Lapras. Boston anticipates the play, holds his energy, and Rhyperior hits the field of play. Rhyperior instantly going to be putting up that Protect Shield, blocking up the double super effective Sparkling Aura, and he full sends the Rock Wrecker. The opponent shows no respect, get absolutely one shot. Oof, Lapras, you might think you're thick, buddy, but Rhyperior might have a little something to say about that. But saying that, Rhyperior's reign of terror going to come to an end as the opponent able to reach back-to-back cross chops, and it's all down to Gyarados to clean up. Out comes Tentacruel. We go straight for the Crunch. The opponent doesn't shield the first, which of course is very smart, as it does have a chance to lower the opponent's defense. We fire off the Aqua Tail bait. Aqua Tail does go shielded, but I think this game, unfortunately, is going to be over. The opponent full sends a Blizzard, and we unfortunately take a heartbreaking defeat. GG's that opponent. Heading into the next battle, we see Virizion in the lead position. Once again, we're obliged to stay in. And unfortunately in this matchup, we're fully walled. The Night Slash going to be resisted by Virizion's fighting typing, and Grass does resist itself. Boston needs to keep this Virizion away from Rhyperior at all costs. Boston trying to make the best of a dire situation. Actually going to invest the Protect Shield here. We go for 1 Bullet Punch and the Night Slash for optimal fast move timing. Night Slash goes unshielded, and Boston able to Bullet Punch farm down afterwards. We do leave down a Protect Shield. We get to pick our alignment in the back, and that could be key, as out comes Kantomap, and we have such a hard punish for him. The opponent banks a small amount of energy, send out Greninja. Greninja greeted with the Breaking Swipe, forcing our Protect Shield back, and Gyarados hits the field of play. Boston attempted to catch the Hydro Cannon. Our catch attempt unsuccessful. The opponent does throw the Hydro Cannon anyway. It's a common misconception in this community that a resisted Hydro Cannon from Greninja does more than a neutral Night Slash. It does not. They do exactly the same amount of damage. Feel free to fact check me on PV Poke. The opponent next time did go for the Night Slash, not enough to get the job done, then make use of the misaligned timer, sending out Mark, trying to snipe. Boston fires off the Aqua Tail, switch timer pops up, we send out Rhyperior. Boston knows he's always got to save a shield for a potential charge move from Greninja, able to mud slap farm down, leaving with the break-in swipe, and Boston is able to take that game. Very nicely done. GG's. Heading into the next battle. We'll see what Yas would call a scuffed matchup. Our steel typing double resist the poison jabs, but our charge moves are fully walled, whereas the opponent can hit for neutral, and a lot of neutral damage at that with the Dark Pulse they're likely running. It's matchups like this next season where Scizor will really excel. Bullet Punch getting a massive +2 to its damage output. We save switch into Rhyperior. Rhyperior, of course, with numerous double weaknesses, isn't the best save switch. However, as Greninja comes out, you can see despite Water Shriek and being double super effective, the mud slaps are keeping pace. Or if we even call the bait like a savage as well. Boston able to survive the Night Slash, reach the break-in swipe, rocking Greninja deep into the red health range. Out comes Gyarados. Gyarados insanely glassy. Boston recognising Gyarados the only Pokemon with remaining HP. Opts invest to protect shield. Back out comes Mark. Boston makes the catch. Back onto Scizor. Can Gyarados clean up? The opponent not wanting to see the farm down. Send out Giratina. Boston waste no time. Go straight for the crunch. Either forcing the final protect shield or landing monstrous damage. The opponent obliged, putting up that protect shield. Boston tanks the Dragon Claw. Oh boy, Gyarados getting insanely low. Gyarados forced to shield this move. Not only do we need to take out this Giratina, we also need to have enough HP to Dragon Breath farm down Mark. How much HP does that thing have left? Can we get the farm down? Oh, unfortunately we cannot. The opponent survives on fractional HP and are able to take that game. Heading into the next battle, Boston today really is running the gauntlet, seeing non-stop fighting leads. The opponent farms the close combat. Boston thinks about shielding, calls the Rage Fist bait. I think people are always going to bait Scizor. This thing is so glassy and does demand shields, unless you're Boston, of course, with huge cojones. The opponent banks their energy, send out Tinkaton. The Night Slash is a very nice catch, but Tinkaton is immediately going to be hard punished by Rhyperior. Bulldoze is super effective, as Rock does take super effective from ground, but we all know that Bulldoze is an absolutely shit move. Arguably, Boston should have fired off a charge move before this next Bulldoze comes through, but as I say that, Boston knows his IVs, knows he survives, and probably wants to leave minimal farm for that return in Primate. The opponent actually send out for Alligator, and Gyarados hits the field of play. Boston with 2 shields to hide behind like an absolute savage, uses Scizor as the 3rd shield, keeping 2 shields intact. Back out comes Primate. You don't normally want to shield the first Rage Fist, however Boston has 2 shields, and it might be a good idea to start using them. Our win con, just double shield here, fully Dragon Breath farm down, double crunch for Alligator to the face, and I think we are off to the races. Back out comes for Alligator. Boston fires off the first crunch, the opponent reluctant to shield the first. They get Dragon Breath farm down and save 1 shield for next season. GG's. Mr. Xboston, you sir, do not disappoint. Holy cow, that's a yikes lead. We see 1 bullet punch thrown, the transfer of the Incinerate onto Gyarados, and out comes Venusaur. Despite us being a water type, this is a type neutral matchup, as flying does resist grass. We're actually able to land the crunch, and if I was Boston, I'd probably shield and look to farm down. Boston recognising switch advantage would be very nice, as Scizor doesn't want that smoke from Talonflame. Boston goes for that 1 shield, gets that farm down, and I can't quite believe Talonflame is re-entering the arena. How weak is this trainer to Gyarados? Clearly me and Boston are on the same wavelength, recognising Gyarados has plenty of whatever's in the back and makes the catch onto Rhyperior where everything is resisted. The opponent then send out Greninja. Boston calls the Night Slash bait. Oof, Boston! This man does not shield baits. The opponent throws the Night Slash, which doesn't get the job done. We're able to fire off the break-in swipe, leaving Greninja into the red health range. Scizor gets sent out just to operate as the damage sponge. Any one move should be survivable. The opponent throw the Hydro Cannon. Scizor looking for that bullet punch farm down. The opponent tried to snipe with Talonflame. Boston able to react quick enough. Send out Gyarados. Gyarados fires off the Aqua Tail. Boston with 1 shield to hide behind. Going to be investing it here. Can the opponent Incinerate farm us down? Before we reach the move, yes they can, but Boston has that Night Slash banked. Is this Night Slash range? Scizor fires off the Night Slash. Is a Talonflame counter confirmed? Greninja gets bullet punch farm down, and we take that game. Holy. Heading into the next battle. Not only is Boston running a very spicy team, he is running an absolute gauntlet with lost lead after lost lead. I don't want to see anyone post in the comment section these battles are played at ace rank. You try and run this team and see if you have any better success than he does. I highly doubt it. Out comes Scizor. We farm to the Rock Wrecker, throw the Breaking Swipe, and after the Mud Slap damage, Breaking Swipe actually removes them from the field of play. Boston showed very high gameplay IQ there as well, leaving minimal farm for this return in Virizion. We send out Scizor, the opponent pivots into Feraligatr. I think I personally would have thrown a charge move at Gator, trying to force a shield, as our energy is walled against Virizion. However, Boston is clearly going to be better at navigating this team than I am, so let's let him cook. We fire off the first Aqua Tail, forcing the Protect Shield. The Dragon Breath damage has already put this thing into Aqua Tail range. The opponent goes 2 for 2, shielding Gator. The opponent is so low that Boston could just throw the Night Slash, removing them from the field of play. Back out comes Virizion. Virizion going to start unleashing charge move. Boston with 2 shields, clearly going to start investing them here. The opponent doesn't go for optimal time, and they should have thrown 1 double kick and the charge move. Boston gets the entire free sneak. We go for the Trailblaze. Trailblaze is resisted, but does vamp up our attack. Trailblaze isn't lethal. Boston able to bullet punch farm down afterwards, and we take that game. Heading into the next battle, this time we see the Shadow Gator in the lead position. I think this thing looks so cool when you play against it. Yes, it's annoying to deal with, but that animation and just an angry alligator is pretty cool to see. Boston sends out Gyarados, attempting to catch the Hydro Cannon. The opponent held their energy and ice beamed us to the face. Out comes Drapion. Drapion shields up the Aqua Tail and gets a massive Poison Sting farm down. Despite our Mud Slaps being super effective into Drapion, I do agree with Boston here, sending out Scizor, where this energy can only hit for neutral as opposed to double super effective. Boston tanked 1 crunch, then sends Rhyperior into the battlefield. The opponent interestingly throw another crunch, so potentially on the Sludge Bomb moveset. The opponent then pivots out into Giratina. And as Callum on Toast would say, that is more than fine for us, as the Mud Slap Breaking Swipe combination going to make quick work of one of the bulkiest mon in the meta. Unfortunately, I don't think the next Mud Slap knocks out. That means Boston is going to have to tank 2 Dragon Claws. We can't shield either, as of course an Aqua Tail or Hydro Cannon would do objectively more. Rhyperior able to Mud Slap farm down, leaving deep in the red. We are spamming the switch, anticipating Gator re-entering the arena. Out comes Gator, we throw the Trailblaze. Trailblaze forces the final Protect Shield. Can Boston win this battle? The opponent throws instantly, giving us a free Mud Slap sneak. Boston undertaps the Breaking Swipe. I don't think this is Breaking Swipe range, and we are so low. Breaking Swipe actually isn't lethal. Back out comes Drapion. Drapion clearly doesn't have Aqua Tail, as we're able to outpace to the Breaking Swipe. Back out comes Gator. There is no shot. Boston able to take that game. And that is why you should throw optimal timing. Heading into the next battle, we see Scizor into Guzzlord. Another matchup where we're fully walled. Shadow Scizor's monstrous attack mean these bullet punches are already chunking. It's going to be crazy when they're actually doing 2 additional damage every single time. I think you're just going to tear through Pokemon in neutral matchups. Boston through the Night Slash, got the boost, correctly shielded the crunch. The next Night Slash and the additional bullet punch remove them from the field of play. Out comes Typhlosion. We pivot into Gyarados, baiting out Virizion. It's very nice for the opponent not to stay in and fire off a Thunder Punch. That would have been double super effective. Boston gonna unleash the crunch. Man, we're seeing a lot of Pokemon that fully wall our movesets. Although, speaking of fully walled, this trainer is saving 2 shields for next season. Let me tell you, if you think it's bad that we're getting fully walled a lot, that Typhlosion's about to get absolutely clapped. What they're going to throw at Rhyperior, Blast Burn is resisted, Thunder Punch double resisted. Nothing is going to do any meaningful damage. The opponent go for the double resisted Thunder Punch bait. Why? I'm not entirely sure. Rhyperior quickly Mud Slap farms down, and we take that game. In the next battle, you've got to be kidding me. Yet another fighter in the lead position where we see the Panda Bear. The opponent farms to the close combat. Boston actually this time respects it. And of course we get Night Slash baited. Boston, like, I see your bait and I raise you a bait of my own. Throw in the Night Slash that is double resisted. And again we get the boost. Does the opponent this time throw that close combat? They do not. Scizor able to hang on, reach 1 further double resisted Night Slash bait, forcing all shields of his opponent. We send out Gyarados and out comes Clefable. The Dragon Breath double resisted by the Fairy typing, but Shadow Gyarados hits reasonably hard and the Aqua Tails do add up over time. If the opponent falls in a Moonblast that come quite close to knocking out, thankfully it's just a Swift, and this again is only a Swift, which will be survivable, meaning we will get this Aqua Tail off. However, we are going to get farmed down afterwards. Gyarados fires off the Aqua Tail. Boston, not wanting to concede that farm down, sends out Rhyperior and will be able to mud slap farm down before the potential Moonblast is reached. The Panda Bear likely returns, and it does. We end up throwing the Breaking Swipe, losing CMP. I'll be honest, I wasn't actually sure on this CMP tie. However, Pangoro does quite easily win it with a 172 attack stat compared to our 163. Out comes Gengar. No, trainer, not like this. Poor old Gengar going to be straight in and straight out, making a very brief cameo appearance, and we take that game. Heading into the next battle, we see another thing that fully walls our moveset. We're seeing this quite a lot, so potentially, if you're going to look to run this next season, you could run either Scizor, that would hit for neutral in this matchup, or even Iron Head as a bit of a stab nuke. Despite both Bullet Punch and Fury Cutter becoming very good moves, offensively, Bug and Steel aren't great typings, so it's kind of up to you if you want a 2-turn move or a 1-turn move. We send out Rhyperior, we ended up investing in a Protect Shield. We should fully wall that moveset, but potentially could have payback. Out comes Gastrodon, and despite the Mud Slaps hitting for massive damage, we're able to get this snail into the red health range. We send out Gyarados. Please tell me the opponent's Blind Earth powered. No, trainer. So if you're looking to rank up, when you've got enough HP, like this snail did, you should always at least wait to see what comes in and don't just blind send a move. Boston then, like a savage, was able to catch the body slam back onto Scizor. Back out comes Moltres as we fire off the Night Slash, once again getting the boost. I tell people all the time, praise them RNG gods and they do reward you. Boston getting boost after boost, which is pretty absurd to be honest. There's only like a 10% chance. It might actually be a 12.5% chance. Off the top of my head, I cannot remember, but out comes a 2-shielded Galarian Weezing, and this one is going to end in heartbreaking defeat. Boston had the move. There's no point in throwing it. He allows the opponent to fire off the Play Rough, and we take a defeat. But GG's to that opponent. Heading into the next battle. The gauntlet of tough leads continues. We see Skeledirge in the lead position. We save switch into Gyarados, and out comes Gliscopod. So clearly this opponent doesn't have an answer for Gyarados, as unless they've got Aerial Ace, every move will be resisted. To be honest, you don't really want to run Aerial Ace, as Aqua Jet is such a good move that only does very slightly less damage than a potential Aerial Ace that does hit for neutral. Boston obtains himself a shield advantage here in the mid-game matchup, and it looks like he's trying to hope that Rhyperior can sweep the backline. We send out Scizor, go for the Night Slash. Is this Night Slash range? They just about survived. Next season, that Night Slash would knock out. We keep going on about next season. As you can tell, I'm very excited for it. Shout out to Scopely, who now officially own the company. They're making things happen in Pokemon Go, and hopefully that does help interest pick up in the game. Out comes Gator. We full send the Rock Wrecker, nuking the opponent through to Protect Shield, and just like that, we take that game. Heading into the next battle, we see another Angry Alligator in the lead position. I already know Boston's going to try to make the Hydro Cannon catch. Are we successful this time? No, we're not. The opponent banked their energy and then send out Typhlosion. Typhlosion with access to double super effective Thunder Punch. Boston going to oblige, putting up a Protect Shield and return fire with the Aqua Tail. Aqua Tail forces our Protect Shield back. We're able to reach the next Aqua Tail. Not at the best timing, but the opponent is never ever Incinerate farming us down. Boston can't really afford to fight for switch here, as that energy for Alligator will be double super effective into our Rhyperior. We send out Rhyperior, attempt to Mud Slap farm down, and back out comes Gator. Boston invest that Protect Shield, block up the Hydro Cannon, then go for the wham bam combo play, send out Scizor, fire off the Night Slash. Night Slash isn't lethal, but does put it in a range where we can Mud Slap farm down afterwards. Rhyperior will leave with residual energy good to go, but no shields to hide behind. Tell me we can nuke something in the back. We need to be mindful the opponent might try to catch an Typhlosion that they have saved. The opponent goes for that catch. Boston like, nah, trainer. Simply not going to happen. Rock Wrecker easily picks up the one shot on the opposing Shadow Gyarados, and we take that game. Shout out that opponent. Cool team. Heading into the next battle, we see another Alligator in the lead position. We all knew Boston was going to go for the catch, and this time he is successful. So I guess the moral of the story is try and try again. The opponent then sends out Magnezone. Holy smokes, Gyarados got removed from the field of play with just 3 Volt switches. Boston sends out Rhyperior. They don't farm to their Flash Cannons. This is only a Mirror Shot. Mirror Shot is super effective. Boston shields the first, and I anticipate us letting the second one go. So for those of you looking to brush up on your counts, because of course Magnezone is a very common Pokemon that you're going to see in all 3 leagues. On the off chance the opponent's running that Flash Cannon nuke, it's going to be 5 to the first and 4 to the second. Boston once again looks to combo play the Gator. We force that shield with that Night Slash, and out comes Goodra. Goodra greeted with the Night Slash. Unfortunately this time no boost occurs. Boston looking to save his shields for Rhyperior. They fire off the Thunder Punch that does do slightly more than an Aqua Tail, so potentially a smart play as the opponent recognises that we wasn't going to shield. Back out comes Rhyperior. Rhyperior rapidly running out of HP, looks for the Mud Slap farm down, unable to get it, and that one does end in defeat. GG's to that opponent. For anyone wondering why Boston didn't throw the charge move against Goodra, the Feraligatr was healthy enough to survive a break-in swipe, so we needed to leave with the Rock Wrecker, heading into the next battle. We see my least favourite Pokemon in the Ultra League, Zygarde, aka Optimus Prime. This thing is so bloody annoying and so bloody bulky. The trade-off for that is that bulk does not hit very hard, or if the opponent makes a very nice play, sniping with the Kentucky Fried Chicken, Bird of Death. But Boston has a very nice counter for this. Fly, Brave Bird, Flame Charge, you name it, it will be resisted. Even if this opponent's a lunatic running Hurricane or Fire Blast, our ground rock typing would also resist that as well. Although as I say that, despite the resistances, Rhyperior is very glassy, so if the opponent did actually farm up to Fire Blast and YOLO it, it'd probably knock us out. Opponent actually shields Talonflame. We fire off the break-in swipe, which unfortunately isn't enough to get the job done, and then send out Gyarados. The opponent fire off the Fly. Fly does substantial damage, and out comes Blastoise. Boston just going to settle for the Aqua Tail, and unfortunately, this very bulky team will be emerging victorious. Boston just doesn't have enough HP left on anything. Rhyperior re-enters the arena. We've got a shield to hide behind Boston. Smart enough to recognise there simply is no win con, and we do take heartbreaking defeat. GG's that opponent. Heading into our final battle of the Ultra League. As you can tell by the video length, that will not be all for today. Should have I made this into 2 videos? Probably. However, we're running out of time and I didn't want to miss out on the battles, so we're putting it all in one. If you enjoy me making this huge amount of content in a really long form that isn't really going to do anything for my channel other than absolutely fuck up my analytics and ruin my watch time, consider leaving a like. I think I've done quite well today. We're almost 22 minutes into the video and I haven't gone off on too many mad tangents. Boston saw a very spicy lead of Garchomp. We got some redemption for getting sniped in the last battle, sniping down the remaining HP with a Dragon Breath. The opponent full sent an Ice Beam, removing Gyarados from the field of play. Boston has energy banked on Scizor and looks to put it to use. We fire off the Night Slash, looking to move Lapras from the field of play. Down goes Lapras, we get the boost, and out comes Walrein. Walrein going to be greeted with the Night Slash. Night Slash buffs up our attack by 2 stages. Night Slash forced to protect shield, and out comes Rhyperior. Is Boston going to bait or is he going to full send? To be honest, these Mud Slaps are doing crazy damage. I don't even think we need to full send. The opponent gives us a full free Mud Slap. Boston going to farm up. Also throw an alignment, but we are doubled up. The question now becomes, does a break-in swipe knock out from here? I don't think it does, to be honest. However, the opponent is going to have to throw, which they do onto Scizor. Boston makes the catch. Is it necessary? Super necessary. Rhyperior re-enters the arena, Mud Slap farms down, and we end the Ultra League section of this video with a big fat dub. GG's, and thanks for playing. Heading into the next battle, where we are seeing Scizor fully maxed out in the Master League. I believe this thing is a 14, 15, 13 for anyone wondering. Boston sees Mewtwo in the lead position. We're able to force a shield with that Night Slash. We then look to sacrifice Gyarados to the Pokegods. Oh boy, double side strike will be removing Gyarados from the field of play. Gyarados, as always, Boston loves to just use it as a damage sponge. And let's be real, Gyarados isn't the best damage sponge, as regardless of what format it's in, even when it's fully maxed out, it doesn't really have any bulk. Out comes Rhyperior. Without a doubt, the most meta member of Boston's team. Boston invested a Protect Shield on the side strike through the breaking swipe. Saw a very nice undercharge. Getting one further Mud Slap, and out comes Dialga. It looked like Boston tried to catch an Iron Head onto Scizor. Unsuccessfully, Boston banks a boatload of energy, combos back into Scizor, and out comes Kyurem. These bullet punches are super effective. You know I'm thinking it, imagine the damage next season. Unfortunately, I don't really have a Scizor worth powering up for the Master League, but if I ever catch one, you better believe I'll be bringing it. Scizor puts a lot of work in this battle in the end game, able to force the opponent's final Protect Shield. Boston sends back out Rhyperior on fractional HP, but all the energy in the world. Breaking Swipe removes Kyurem from the field of play. We no-bubble the Rock Wrecker, Mud Slap farm down Dialga, putting the stamp of authority in the battle, and we'll be emerging victorious. In the next battle, we see Ho-Oh in the lead position. Definitely something Scizor doesn't want to see. We save switch into Gyarados, shield at the Brave Bird, and once again Kyurem enters the battlefield. Boston gonna YOLO the outrage. Outrage! Get that Kyurem off my screen! The opponent fucked about. They found out. What a boom! Despite that huge boom, out comes Solgaleo. ABA fire. Come on, trainer. Boston's got a family. Boston, recognising Scizor, has absolutely no play. Just sends it out. The opponent throw the Psychic Fangs. Try to snipe. We see the snipe attempt. Send out Rhyperior. Rhyperior needs to do so much heavy lifting. The opponent fire off the Sacred Fire. That is resisted, but did far too much damage. Boston fires off the Breaking Swipe bait. However, I don't think any amount of baiting is going to save his fate. Let's see. The next Breaking Swipe does force the final Protect Shield. Boston sends back out Scizor. Gonna shield here. We can then throw one Bullet Punch. Okay, the opponent combos. Is Night Slash enough to knock out? Oh, no, it isn't. The opponent stops attacking, then eventually put the Stamp of Authority on in return, letting us think we've got a chance. They Fire Spin farm us down and take a heartbreaking defeat. Trainer, we had a family. How could you do that to us? In the next battle, we see a beautiful lead. Arguably one of the best leads Scizor will see in the Open Master League, but despite this, a lack of bulk means the opponent can more than hold their own. If they would have actually went for Trailblaze into the Moonblast combination, they would have actually won the Zero Shield scenario. Out comes Goldengo. Boston gonna fire off the Night Slash, force a Protect Shield. Rather than concede a farm down, we send out Gyarados. The opponent let us farm up a boatload of energy and then send out their own Rhyperior. Not sure on that play. Aqua Tail doesn't get respected either. This is GG's. Let the opponent enjoy themselves, Boston. They do exactly that, firing off the Rock Wrecker, removing us from the field of play. However, when we send out our Shadow Rhyperior, I'm anticipating the opponent top left in. They're actually playing it out. Trainer, this isn't going to end well. Boston tries to make a catch for no reason whatsoever. He's now going to fire off the Breaking Swipe. Trainer, don't shield. They don't shield. Recognise the game's over, and we take that game. Heading into the next battle, we see Dialga in the lead position. Okay, the opponent doesn't want that work. I don't know what that was about, but let's pretend it didn't happen. In the next battle, we see Landorus in the lead position. I've seen Boston play enough to know we're going to attempt to catch a Santia Storm onto Gyarados. Boston goes for the catch. Oh no. Okay, we're actually going to correctly shield at the Stone Edge. I thought Gyarados was going to be straight in and straight out, but it looks like Boston's going to give Gyarados a little bit of screen time. Out comes Dialga. Ah, the outrage unfortunately does get respected. The opponent looks like full Dragon Breath farm down, unable to achieve it before the Aqua Tail's reached. This won't be lethal, but all chip damage is welcome. You know what's even more welcome? A shield. No! Okay, we make a catch. No, Aurora Time's supposed to be resisted. Scizor. As always, Boston, buddy, you've got me in shambles. I have no idea what's going on here. We've got Rhyperior now debuffed with no shields, trying to sweep an entire team. I think we need like Talonflame in the back, not Talonflame. What's it called in Master League? Ho-Oh. See, Boston, you fried my brain. Back out comes Dialga. We go for the undercharge. We undercharged it a bit too much, and unfortunately, we're not going to see the third. We do take defeat, but very entertaining battle as always. Heading into the next battle. We've seen a Necrozma in the lead position. Not too bad a matchup for Scizor, as Night Slashes do hit for super effective. We fire off the Night Slash. That does a lot. Boston tries to make a catch. It looks like the opponent anticipated a catch, as they did wait. They waited for like 5 turns. Not entirely sure why. Boston gonna fire off the Aqua Tail. Aqua Tail from this range should pick up the knockout. To my surprise, the opponent invested Protect Shield, looking to move Gyarados from the field of play. Thankfully, they didn't throw another Iron Head, as Iron Head probably wouldn't have got the job done. Boston sends back out Scizor. The opponent sends out Solgaleo, and Solgaleo is now switch locked against our Shadow Mud Slapper. Boston, with 2 shield tie behind, correctly shields with Iron Head. So we can now throw 4 Mud Slaps and the Breaking Swipe, which will be one quick move before the next Iron Head's reach. This is only a Psychic Fangs. Boston ends up investing a Protect Shield. Perhaps I'm wrong. I might have missed a Fire Spin, but I believe that could only be a Psychic Fangs. But of course, these battles are like 1.8 speed, so I could be wrong. Out comes Kyurem. Boston, like, my Wincon is landing this Rock Wrecker. No, the opponent doesn't respect the damage. Get nuked through the Protect Shield. We go for the combo play. Fire off the Night Slash. We get the boost. Is it necessary? A super necessary. As clearly, from like 3 HP, a boosted Night Slash was needed to take that game. Master League battles are without a doubt my favourite to shoutcast, especially when Boston is the featured battler, as these battles are always absolute madness. I'll be honest, most of the time I don't even know what's going on. I know another Santia Storm catch is incoming. Again, our catch attempt unsuccessful. Oof, but Boston calls the bait. Savage. Out comes Dialga. Come on, trainer, we're debuffed. You don't need to respect this damage. Outrage. Oh, well, that was underwhelming. I was expecting a boom. That really wasn't a boom, was it? Speaking of booms, we've already seen that Roar of Time. It cleanly one-shot Scizor, so I'm very grateful Boston sends out Rhyperior and doesn't sacrifice it to the Pokegods. Out comes Ho-Oh. Come on, trainer. It's a break and swipe bait. Rock Wrecker forced the Protect Shield. The opponent then pivots back out into Landorus. Boston going to be investing that Protect Shield. I think we're now going to try and make the reverse catch of a Sancia Storm onto Scizor. Right on cue, there is the catch. Boston did try and catch the first one, but was stuck in the animation. Scizor able to reach the Night Slash debuff, doesn't get the job done. Boston sends out Rhyperior, but Rhyperior unfortunately loses CMP. The opponent gets the perfect farm down. Sancia Storm picks up the knockout, and we do end with another heartbreaking defeat. Heading into the next battle, we see Dragonite in the lead position. Okay, the opponent say switches into something that takes super effective from steel as opposed to only neutral. Another battle that's quite baffling, but let's let this trainer cook. They've managed to obtain themselves a shield advantage in the mid game, but they've just fed Scizor free energy. Dragonite's probably favoured against Scizor, to be honest, but now we've got a huge energy lead. Boston can dump Night Slash after Night Slash at him. The first one went unshielded, the second one also goes unshielded. Rather than concede a farm down, we send out Gyarados and out comes Rhyperior. Gyarados going to unleash the Aqua Tail before we potentially get Rock Wrecker to the face. Aqua Tail forces the Protect Shield. Boston with one to hide behind correctly shields up the Rock Wrecker and looks to force the opponent all shields down. We overfarm, fire off another Aqua Tail. Aqua Tail does force that final Protect Shield. Boston actually able to reach one further Aqua Tail. It's going to be high Rhyperior, bye Rhyperior. Remove yourself from my screen. We pivot back into Scizor. The opponent doesn't want the smoke, and we take that game. Heading into the next battle, we see Palkia in the lead position. The opponent gets a huge amount of lag, throw a few moves, and then concede the match. What is going on today? I'm guessing when people see Scizor, they're probably thinking, I don't want to become on some kind of YouTube short if I lose, or any YouTube feature, but we're going to leave it in anyway. Heading into the next battle. Our target has been acquired, Togekiss, or that annoying fluffy cloud as I think of it. The opponent say switches into Kyurem, and this opponent is core broken by Scizor. Let's go Scizor. Scizor fires off the Night Slash, forcing a shield. No shot, no shot. Fusion Bolt. Boston, you savage. Boston, if I was you, buddy, just farm it all the way down. This is only another Fusion Bolt, right? Yep. We tank that as well. Boston, heartbreakingly doesn't farm down. This puts us in a tricky spot. We don't want Gyarados aligned against Togekiss. We send back out Scizor and we guess wrong as out comes the bulky blue whale, or as Henry calls it, the RPS whale. I was watching his video yesterday and that cracked me up. Shout out Home Slice Henry. Gyarados has two shields to hide behind, but the issue for us is you cannot shield fast moves. Our Dragon Breath's double resisted. Boston going to invest Protect Shield, blocking up the Ancient Power. We overfarm, fire off the next Aqua Tail. The opponent lets go of Togekiss, send out Kyogre. We're not going to be able to reach the crunch. Please shield trainer, please. No, they don't shield. And despite Scizor being ABA good into this opponent's team, I think this one ends in defeat. I don't think we can Bullet Punch farm down. We cannot. We can't Dragon Breath farm down either. And unfortunately, that one does end in defeat. Heading into the next battle, we see Xerneas in the lead. A very nice lead for us. The opponent say switches into Palkia. I can see what Boston's trying to do here. We're going to try and catch the Aqua Tail onto Gyarados. So throw 6 and then make the catch. Perfect. People always ask me, how do I count Dragon Breaths? The key to it is count your own quick move. So if you're using a 2-turn move, every one you throw is equivalent to 2 Dragon Breaths. Use a 3-turn move, 3 Dragon Breaths, etc, etc. Hence Boston was able to make that catch. The unfortunate thing for Boston is we caught the second move, not the first. We've just fed this Palkia far too much energy, putting them in a position where they can realign. They do exactly that, shielding up a double resisted Aqua Tail. Back out comes Scizor. We waste no time, fire off the Night Slash, moving Palkia from the field of play. The opponent sends out Zygarde. Boston gonna stay in, fire off the Night Slash. Boost. No boost. We then bank our energy, send out Rhyperior. I think we've got to call this. If the opponent's got Earthquake, so be it. They actually YOLO the Outrage. Outrage doesn't get the job done. Back out comes Xerneas, and we full send the Rock Wrecker. Rock Wrecker. is a Blast Burn clone, but Xerneas evidently bulky enough to at least tank one. Boston settles with a break-in swipe, forces the protection. The opponent is going to look to dump energy. Come on, Scizor, buddy. You need to do a lot of heavy lifting. Scizor able to bullet punch farm down. Back out comes Zygarde. I think we need a boost to have any chance. The first one goes unshielded. Boston doesn't get the boost, doesn't get off the next move either, and we take a heartbreaking defeat. Heading into the next battle, we see Mewtwo in the lead position. As Steel does resist Psychic, the opponent is going to have to fire off the coverage move to do any meaningful damage. Although, as I say that, a Psy Strike still does a lot. Boston farms up, looks to make a catch onto Gyarados. The catch attempt unsuccessful, and it looks like deja vu. It looks like Boston just going to completely sack Gyarados, sacrificing it to the Poké Gods. Nope, hold that thought, I'm wrong. Boston actually invests the Protect Shield, looks to fire off the Aqua Tail, and looks to pick his alignment in the back. Aqua Tail, to my surprise, forced the Protect Shield. The opponent doesn't commit to their farm down, or if they farmed us down, we could have been in trouble. Boston has at least forced this thing all shields down, which is always good, especially with something using Shadow Rock Wrecker in the back. We fire off the Night Slash, removing them from the field of play. We don't see a boost, but we see a Kyurem at the battlefield. Boston tries his luck, making the catch attempt unsuccessful. I thought we were going to call it. Good job we didn't, as Free Shot would have cleanly one-shot. Out comes an opposing Rhyperior. Boston going to fire off the break-in swipe, goes unshielded, as of course the opponent has no shields to hide behind. Boston fires off one further break-in swipe, gets the opponent low. And that's a CMP tie. Surf removes us from the field of play. Out comes Scizor, able to bullet punch farm down. One bullet punch and the first Night Slash. Scizor looking to close the show. The first Night Slash gets the opponent low, and the second is going to be all she wrote. GG's, and thanks for playing. Heading into the next battle, we see Tapu Lele in the lead position. Another beautiful matchup for us. The opponent save switches into Rhyperior. Boston going straight for the Trailblaze, double super effective Trailblaze, force the Protect Shield, and we see an absolute beautiful break and swipe catch onto Gyarados. I'm not entirely sure why you break and swipe a Steel type, but we'll let the opponent cook. This is actually a perfect play as well, to be honest, as Gyarados isn't going to fancy Tapu Lele or any Fairy, to be honest. You don't want anything using Dragon Breath aligned against the Fairy type. Aqua Tail picked up the knockout, back out comes Tapu Lele. Tapu Lele greeted with the Aqua Tail, and the opponent does commit to that for Astonish farm down. Scizor re-enters the arena. Looks like the opponent trying to Astonish farm down Scizor as well, but Scizor says no, fires off the Night Slash, forcing the final Protect Shield. Rhyperior hits the field of play, gonna put up that Protect Shield, blocking up the Nature's Madness, and out comes Keldeo. I think this is actually a really sleeper pick in the Master League. However, you're going to need to raid like an absolute lunatic to get the XL candy required to fully power it up. Not many people have this thing either, as you did need to buy some kind of event ticket that I didn't have, hence I don't have one. Boston pivots into Scizor, able to bullet punch farm down Keldeo, bullet punch farm down Tapu Lele, and we take that game. In the next battle, we see Shadow and Shadow Crime with Scizor into Rhyperior. Imagine when these bullet punches are buffed next season, they will be doing a lot of damage, whereas currently, despite us hitting for super effective and them hitting for neutral, their damage output is outpacing ours, and that pretty much is just because of stat product. Rhyperior with a monstrous stat product, whereas Scizor clearly doesn't have the stats to play Master League if you want to play it in a serious capacity. Unfortunately, Boston not only got the attack drop, but also lost CMP, so we ended up shielding Rhyperior despite being debuffed, but Rhyperior is still going to get some value as out comes Dialga. Rather than concede a farm down, we send out Gyarados. Gyarados going to be investing that Protect Shield, getting baited with an Iron Head. Gyarados didn't commit to the farm down, settles for the Aqua Tail. Aqua Tail is resisted, but does pick up the knockout. Out comes Kyurem. I thought we were going to reach the outrage. Unfortunately, it wasn't meant to be. We send back out Scizor. Scizor going to get removed from the field of play with the incoming Fusion Bolt. Back out comes Rhyperior. Rhyperior also gets farmed down, and we're heading into the next battle. Primarina. Running Waterfalls, we're kind of obliged to stay in as Rhyperior isn't going to fancy the work. We fire off the Trailblaze, able to land, and we're able to catch the Hydro Cannon onto Gyarados. That thing was a huge core breaker for us, but Boston able to navigate his way through the matchup perfectly. Out comes Kyurem. Boston fires off the Aqua Tail for some chip damage. Fusion Bolt easily picks up the one shot. Primarina is still alive, but is quite low. We send back out Scizor farms up. Boston, you savage. Boston makes the next Bolt catch. Back onto Rhyperior. Out comes Primarina. Just two Waterfalls. Did ridiculous damage. Kyurem also gets Mud Slap farm down. Out comes Dialga. Boston fires off the break-in swipe. The first one goes unshielded. The opponent has two shields. Are they going to use them? There's the first shield. Boston continues to mud slap away, gets farmed down, out comes Scizor. Boston fires off the first Night Slash, forced to protection. The opponent looks to Dragon Breath, farm down. Scizor says no. I'll be honest, I thought this one was going to end in defeat, but Boston gets the job done. GG's, and thanks for playing. Heading into the next battle, we see Tapu Lele in the lead position. The opponent continued to stay in and go for either Psyshock or Nature's Madness. Psyshock is resisted. The opponent then sends out King's Gambit. This is the first time I've seen one of these. Every battles people have sent me so far in the Master League hasn't contained this Pokemon. Boston sends out Rhyperior. We fire off the break-in swipe. You can see these Metal Claws, despite being super effective, are doing minimal damage. The opponent fire off the Foul Play. We withstand the damage. Mud Slap farm down Boston, reaching for that Rock Wrecker. We're able to get it. Does the opponent respect the damage? Rock Wrecker. Disappointingly forced that Protect Shield, and we send out Gyarados. Gyarados going to be investing that Protect Shield, blocking up the incoming Nature's Madness. The opponent tried to make a catch onto Avalugg. The catch attempt unsuccessful, but we want to Aqua Tail this thing anyway, as they are a rock type. Boston able to reach the next Aqua Tail. Aqua Tail will be moving the Ice Table from the field of play. I forgot they had a shield. They shield it up, throw the Icy Wind. Icy Wind picks up the knockout. Back out comes Scizor. Scizor fires off the Night Slash. Night Slash isn't lethal. We're able to Bullet Punch farm down afterwards, leaving with the Night Slash, and Night Slash should be all she wrote, and we're able to take that game. And that is just about going to wrap things up for today's very shambolic, very erratic, very crazy showcase from the one and only Xboston. I'm just kidding, buddy. That was hella fun. Despite me probably getting confused numerous times, you are always a very fun battler to shoutcast and remain in my #1 spot. So next season, Scizor is getting 2 big buffs. You can see this season, it does have some anti-meta play, but very much in that spice cabinet. Next season, expect to see it rise in popularity. So if you're enjoying the content, smash that like button if you're new. Consider subscribing if you like your battles featured on my channel. A link to our battle submission form is down below. And as always, a huge thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.